Hey, what's up, guys? Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Just put a 1 down in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, I've got it loaded up. I think it's working. So we're just gonna start out here, and I just had a couple things planned. I'm not sure exactly how many people are gonna show up for this kind of thing, because normally I just do pre-recorded videos, but I thought I would do one of these. Kind of fun, because I reached my 1,000 subscriber mark, or we're super close. I think we're at, let me check here. Yeah, we're at 996, so we're almost there. And so this is just kind of a special video, a special live stream to say thank you guys for subscribing. And I had a couple things on the agenda. I'm going to change my view here so you can see my screen. There we go. So some things we could do on the live stream today is we could do like an Ask Me Anything. We could do like Get to Know You Guys. We could do live programming help. I could react to some of my older videos just to kind of show the transformation that's occurred here on the channel. And then I could also build a simple app or website live for you guys. So until we get more people on, I think I'm just going to jump straight into basically building an app or a website, because I know that's what you guys like to see. So I had a couple planned here. So we could do like a grocery list app in Ionic. That's one idea I had, just a simple grocery list app. We could do a My Resume website where basically it's kind of like, I know it sounds kind of similar to LinkedIn, but it's really just as simple as the user can like upload some fields for like their work, their education, and maybe like any achievements they have or something like that. So it's either an app or a website, or there's something I need to add to the jamiebot.com website. It's like a resources section. We could do that as well. So I think I'm kind of leaning more towards the grocery list app because it's kind of like the most simple, and programming kind of takes a while, and so I want to do the most simple option. So let's just start off with that, I think. Oh, hey. Looks like we got somebody in the chat. I don't really have, like, a lot of my subscribers are from India, and so like a lot of them are probably asleep right now. But we got Abbas Sar saying, "Hey Jimmy, hey, what's up, man? How's it going?" If you want, you can also ask me anything while I'm doing the programming, or I can just help you out with some programming stuff, whatever you feel. But in the meantime, I'm going to start designing this. Actually, let me see if I can get the chat up on the screen as well. That might be kind of cool. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so here's the chat. I am looking at the chat, you guys. It's on my phone. But in the meantime, let's just hop over to Affinity Photo and do a little bit of design for our... we're going to do this grocery list app. Oh, hey, we got another one. But your name is in a language I don't understand. But hey, man, how's it going? Let's see here. So for the grocery list app, I was thinking that maybe I just want it to be plain simple, like maybe like the title at the top. So like some text up here. Say like grocery list. Okay. We got some more chat going on. You like my tutorials? Thanks, man. Appreciate that. You're from Senegal in Western Africa. Hey, cool. Yeah, a lot of my subscribers are from kind of all over the place, so Yeah, awesome. I'm from the US myself. Just live in the United States. Yeah, we've got a lot of people from India who watch the channel. Where are you from, man? With the symbols in your name. Alright, so that would just be at the top, and then I think we would just have just a basic ionic list, which with like, I need to buy apples, maybe, and these are like, you know, these are list items. You want to buy some, you want to buy some bread, you know, standard stuff. Okay, so that's all I want to make for this app. And then maybe at the top right, there would be like a plus button. And then of course you'll be able to like swipe left and right in order to like delete things from the app and so forth. Okay, so let's make that simple app. Let's see. So in order to do that, by the way, I don't know, like, some of my subscribers are subscribed from like website creation, and some are created, or some subscribers are for like app creation. So it's like either websites or apps using either Ionic or Angular material. But this is going to be an app in Ionic which uses Angular. So my thinking is that with the channel, it's all based around Angular, and so basically you can build either apps or websites with Angular. So that's my thinking. Like if you look at my channel here, it's all centered around like Angular, Firebase, and Ionic, but it's all mostly Angular stuff, and then Firebase is just the backend. I just think it's really powerful that you can build apps and websites all with the same code. It's in Arabic. It's the name of my channel. Oh, cool. Sweet, man. I wouldn't know how to say it, but okay, awesome. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions in the chat as well. I'm happy to answer anything as well. Okay, so let's go back, and I'm going to generate an Ionic project here. So we're going to build this app live, this grocery list app. So I'm in my YouTube folder right here in VS Code in the terminal, and make this nice and big for you guys to see. And I'm going to type in Ionic. And by the way, I have a video on like installing Ionic if you don't have it set up, but assuming you have it set up, this is kind of what you would do. You type Ionic, start, and then the name of the project is going to be called grocery list. Yeah, let's do that. So grocery list, and then it's going to ask me what template I want to use. I'm going to use blank because it's so simple. It doesn't even need tabs or anything like that. Yeah. So it's just making the project right now. This is the kind of stuff I normally like to edit out, right? Sitting here waiting for it to generate the project. All right. And now it says, would you like to install the free Ionic flow? Actually, no, I don't really like doing that. Okay, so now the project is generated. I'm just gonna file open it and grocery list. So I'll just open that guy up. All right, so here is our app, and let's just get it up and serving first of all. So I'm going to type Ionic serve -b -c, and that's just going to serve up the app, and we can load it up in the browser first of all. So this is our home page right here. I'm going to remove all this stuff. We don't need any of that really. We just need, according to our design, which is why we did the design first, just like to refer to it to make sure I do it right. It says grocery list. So I'm just gonna say grocery list right here. Grocery list. Looks like we got another comment. Your question is, if Blazor from Microsoft is the end of JavaScript. Oh, let's check it out. I've never heard of it before, but I'll give you my opinion. Alright, build client web apps with C#. Okay. Alright, so interactive web UI with C#. Build on open web standards. Share code and libraries. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of these kind of things before where it's kind of like some website builder kind of thing. But the thing is, like, it's always like there is a lot of power behind that, but for the most custom stuff, it always has to be written in a native code, like native HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and so forth. And the reason for that is because it's always like a simulation game. So like, in order to provide like a higher level of configuration, they need to abstract things so that you can like drag and drop things around. But at some point, like that abstraction you're gonna lose some power. It'll allow you to work faster, but you'll lose some control. And so, is it the end of web development? I'd say absolutely not. I've seen dozens of things like this pop up over the years. Like, web development is really pretty old, and even the most standard tools nowadays, it still works in stuff like this. Like, I'm still just writing HTML, JavaScript, basically. Like, this is TypeScript, and then CSS. So like, you still really need this fine level control in order to really build custom things, which is like, I think the most valuable things are going to be pretty custom. So in my opinion, I would say absolutely not. But good question. Oh, Blazor can run C# in the browser. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things can actually run C# in the browser. That's been around for a while. Like Unity can run games written in C# in the browser. Does it change anything? Not really. All right. Let's see. So let's take a look at our app. It's serving on the localhost 8100. And so just pull this over here. Actually, no, that's a different app, I think. Yeah, that's one of the old tutorials I was doing. I think it's 8101. There we go. All right, so I'm going to pull up the developer tools and make sure this is nice and big so you guys can see it. All right, so here's our app. I'm going to save this, and then we should get our grocery list appearing up there. All right, so there it is. So here's the beginnings of our app. And then really we need we really only need two things. We need a button up here, and we need a list over here on the left. So I'm going to go and search for a list in the Ionic documentation. And there it is right there. All right, so just make sure that I do this correctly. So this is the syntax for the ion list. I'm going to copy that. All right, delete most of the other stuff. All right, so our ion list will be inside of the content, and this right here, this will be repeated for the dynamic content. So I guess we will need to sync this with Firebase. So let's maybe let's set up the HTML first. So I'm going to repeat every item in the list using ng4. So ng4 let item of items. All right, and this doesn't exist yet, but I'll make it in a second. I kind of like to work from the HTML backwards. It's easier for me. He says, "Thank you, Jimmy. You're welcome, man." Just my opinion, of course. I could be wrong, who knows? But I've seen a lot of stuff like that, so chances are what I said is probably true. So the ion label inside of here is going to be the item. The items are probably, well, we'll say item.text. We'll make the items like objects instead of strings. All right, so we're just repeating a bunch of items in a list, and they're called items. Okay, so we got to go and make that list now. So the list, we'll set that equal to the empty array at first. All right, and then in order to get things working with, well, actually, just for demo purposes, I'm just going to put something in there that says, text is going to be like Apple, just to show you guys what it looks like, because I know probably a lot of you guys aren't familiar with how it's going to look so far. So we'll just wait for that to refresh. Looks like we got another comment. Can you explain how to make a date range with 2 ion datetime by preventing the user after selecting a start date to not be able to select an end date that came from the selected start date? I have to read that one again. Let's pull it up here. Let me just try and understand this question. Oh, okay, so you just want to make sure that the start date and the end date don't like conflict, like the end date isn't before the start date and so forth. Yeah, I can show you how to do that. That's pretty easy. So you want to ion date time, yeah. So let's go look at that real fast. So the date time, check this out. So the ion date time looks like this, right? So I'm just going to copy this into my project for illustration real fast. So what you're going to want to do is, let's review his question real fast. Just want to make sure that the start, yeah, just that they don't conflict. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to like bind to the disabled attribute. Or actually, wait, there's a I think there's a minimum and maximum, isn't there? I think there is. Yeah, there's a min and max date time. So you'd probably actually want to bind to those. So I think you can bind these to a model as well, right? ng model. Yeah. All right, so basically what you do is you would bind to the model. So this one, you could say this one is like the start time. Okay, so yeah, you would set the ng model to be equal to start time. Let's say this is the start time. I'm gonna remove that. And then you would set the minimum. You'd bind to the minimum. Well, actually, the start date wouldn't need a minimum. It would need a maximum. Yeah, so you'd set the max to be equal to the end date. And then you could have the end date have a minimum as the start date. Make sense? That's at least, I am like 90% sure that that will work. And of course, these will need to be actual variables. I'll go ahead and leave that commented right here if you want to check it out while I'm continuing on with the programming. Yeah. So let's check out the thing again. All right, so so this list is items. That's what we're doing. That's why it wasn't showing up. So the items is going to be an array of grocery list items that looks kind of like this. And each one just has a text inside of it. And then inside of our list, it looks like this. All right. But in order to make the app more interesting, we kind of need to sync this stuff with Firebase. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Firebase console, and I'm going to make a new project called grocery list. All right, going to accept the terms. Great. Oh, I didn't see that comment. You said you like Angular? I like it too, man. It's really awesome, isn't it? Because like if you don't write stuff in Angular or just a framework, then you have like a ton of duplicate code all over the place. Like if you want a header or a footer constant everywhere, you would have to duplicate it into every single page, and that just makes writing code just a nightmare. Alright, so I'm going to go, actually, just need to click this button right here, set up the web app. I might need to refresh the page. Alright, click this button, name it grocery app. They added this new thing which I don't like, because like it already knows what the name of my app is, so why does it have to ask me? So I'm just going to grab this configuration right here and go back over to my app into the environment file, and then make an entry here called Firebase, and then put the config in there. So right now we're just hooking up Firebase to our app. I just want to put the configuration like this inside of the environment file for both development and production. Right? And then I'm going to kill the server, and I'm going to go and install Angular Fire 2. Alright, and we need this in order to access Firebase inside of our app. So we're going to scroll down here to the installation instructions, copy this, actually just the first part. I don't like running with -- save. Alright, paste that in there. Just installing some packages. Says we need these as well, so we'll copy that. We're also going to need some stuff inside of our module file. Install those packages. Cleaning up the module file just a little bit, make it a little bit prettier. Alright, and then it says inside of the module file we've got to import these like so. So we'll do that. But instead of using the Angular Fire database, I'm instead going to use the Angular Fire Store, because that one's the newer version. And it's the module. Alright. So we've imported the module, and now we've got to import them down here as well, like this. Okay, and instead of Firebase config like that, it's going to come from the environment. That's what we were doing before. Environment.firebase. So this is that config from in here. That's just our app configuration. And then instead of the database, we are using Angular Firestore module. Okay, so now Firebase should be installed into our app, or at least Angular Fire 2, and this will allow us to synchronize our grocery list with the database. So let's hop over to the app and then make a constructor, And inside of here, I'm going to inject the database. Database is Angular Firestore. All right, and we're also going to need the authentication module, because I think we will need user logins in order to like have everyone have their own grocery list. So we will need both of those. So let's inject both of them. Private auth. Angular fire auth. All right. Let's see. What am I forgetting to do? I think that's good for now. Let's also install the Angular Fire UI. Angular. This one. This will be like a nice interface for logging in. All right, so to install this, we just run this command right here. All right, I'm just making sure there was no section at the bottom for Ionic specifically. All right, so we'll install that. And then it says to import it like this. So we'll do that as well in the module file. All right, so there we go. And then we gotta add them to the imports down here as well. I think it's just this one. All right, so we'll add this one right here. Firebase UI auth config. So that variable is defined right here for them. We're gonna modify this quite a bit. It's gonna be kind of much simpler. All right, so here is that variable. So pop-up, that's fine. We don't want Google Auth. The only thing we really want is like email. So I'm just gonna go down here and change this to email auth provider. And then change the credential helper to none, because the credential helper is really annoying. For terms of service, I'm just going to use my own terms of service at jamiebot.com. So https:/jamiebot.com/terms/privacy. All right, and then something similar for the terms of service. Okay, TOS right there. Okay, and then this configuration is just for the Angular Fire auth. So this is to show the user something so that they can log in. So we just had to install it and configure it first. And now that we've done that, it says to import the Firebase UI like this inside of the global.scss. So we'll go and do that. And then this is how we use it, like this. And we'll say on the home page, we'll just do like a conditional thing right here. We'll say that we'll have a div in here for like if they're logged in. So ng if auth.current user. So this is if they're logged in. Yes, well, we'll have one if they're logged in, and then we'll have one if they're not. So this one is if, we'll make the top one if they're not. If they're not, we simply just show the Firebase UI. We got another comment, I'm gonna go and answer that. Next time, please show us how to connect Ionic app with Django. With the Django API. Well, thing is, man, is that Django is kind of Django is like for building applications in Python, like building web apps in Python. And that's kind of like a contradicting framework for me to teach on my channel, because like I said, I only use Angular. And so like when people ask to use Django or use what's the other one? WordPress. It's just like another way of building apps, which is fine. I just don't use it. So yeah, I'm not really gonna cover Django or what was the other one? WordPress, just because they're like they're parallel skill sets, but there's really not much use in knowing both of them, right? Because they both achieve the same thing. So for Django, you will have to look elsewhere for that. Sorry, man. All right, let's go and go back to here. So this is if they're not logged in. We show the Firebase UI, and then if they are logged in, then I will show them the list. All right, and in order to do this, we need to actually make sure that the AF auth right here, this is public, because if it's private, it won't work. Only public variables can be accessed inside the HTML. So what were we doing? Oh, so let's make a let's just make sure that that works. Serve up the app again. Serve. All right. And then I guess we can be adding a button to our page. We need a... Is the header documentation in here? Header. List header. Ion header. There we go. I want it to show me how to use buttons in here. I always forget. There we go. Alright, so we're going to need this code for the buttons. Looks like the app is up again, so I'll just show you what that, or just make sure that that's all working. Looks like we got an error. Firebase UI is not a known element. I think we need to add that stuff to the specific home page as well. So the module file, I think we might need to do this inside the home page. So let's just move this over to the home page. We're only really going to have one page, so I'll just move that in here. Typically, you like want to create a login component, but just for simplicity, we're just going to go to the module file and then import that in here. So imports like that. Why does that look wrong? Oh, I need to grab this stuff up here as well. Okay, save that. Go back and add this over here. Pretty sure that's what it is. Okay, great. So we're in our app and it wants us to log in, which is perfect. Okay, so I am gonna log in right here. So I'll just use jimmy.bot.mail, gmail.com. Oh, so I need to enable the sign-in provider inside of the Firebase UI. Forgot to do that. So inside of the Firebase UI, I'm going to go over to authentication, and then I'm going to click Setup Sign-in Method, and then I'm just going to enable email. That's all for that. Just give it a second to propagate. All right, let's try that again. All right, there we go. So here is our item in the list, and that is kind of like a local item. It's not synchronized with the database. So let's just clear that out, and then let's create that button for adding new items. So I'm going to have a end button. So this is like buttons inside of the toolbar. I'm going to add some padding here. So this button is going to be just a plus button. So ion button. And I think it's the name. No, how do we do it? I think it's ion icon. I think we just use name like right here. Wait, no. It's name equals... I can't remember if it's name. Angular material and ionic are pretty similar. Gonna look up the icon. Okay, it is the name. So we were looking for an add symbol. Let's go with just this one. So the icon is add. We'll just copy that. Go back over here. Paste that in. So this is our add icon. And when we click this button, I just want to call a function called like add item. Alright. So add item, and then I think that's really all we need. And this we'll need to prompt the user for some input. So let's go and make that function. So add item. Alright, so we need some input. Let's go and look for a component to do that for us. Let's see, let's look at the alert. Show alert. I think this can have inputs as well, can't it? Yeah, it can. Alright, let's look for one with inputs in it. Alright, let's copy this one. Alright. So we'll just replace that function with our own. It's asynchronous because getting input from the user takes some time, so we are using await in here, so that's why it's asynchronous. And then we're going to inject the alert controller in order to use this. So private alert controller. Alert controller. Alright, and then this has a bunch of inputs in it. I'm going to delete most of them. Buttons are cancel and OK. Alright. Placeholder is going to be item something, or maybe grocery item. So this is like the input that's asking for the user to provide a grocery item. So please provide a grocery item name. Okay. So add item is going to open up this alert, and I have a full video on this kind of stuff as well. I did a full video on the alert controller. And then, let's see, buttons, yeah, those look fine. And then we want to make sure that once it's done, alert.did dismiss, on did dismiss, when it is dismissed, then we're given, I think, an array of values or something. Pretty sure. Alright, value. Yeah, so for now, let's just console.log the values to make sure that works. Console.log those values. Value. Alright, so basically we open up an alert, and we ask the user for input, and then we console log it. So let's check and see if that is working okay. Alright. So here's the button. Please provide a grocery item name. Apples. Okay. Alright, so it console.log the data. So that's looking good. So data.data.values, that's where our information is in. Okay, and instead of calling it name1, because that's like the name of the field right here, name1, I'm going to call it item name. Alright, and then when we're done, I'm going to make a variable for that value. So let item name equals, actually we'll call it text, because that's the name of the field inside of the items array. So we'll say text is equal to data.data, or sorry, this is supposed to be data. Actually, we'll call it result. Result. That'll be a little bit less confusing. Result.data. So we gotta reach inside, grab result.data.values dot, and then the name of the thing, which is item name. Okay, so let's console.log that as well. Text, just to make sure that I got it right. Right, apples. Okay, so I got it right, so console.log to apples. Alright, let's go and now we just gotta save this to Firebase, basically. So I'm gonna say this.db dot collection, and then I'm just gonna store the items in like users slash so it goes collection document, so users slash this.afauth.auth.current user ID, and then items. Okay, so this is the collection name where the data is going to be stored, and I'm just going to call .add add, and then here I can put in the item. Okay, and really all it needs is like I guess we could put in a timestamp as well, but really it just needs the text. Alright, so this is using the syntax to give the field the same name as the variable name, so like text is text, that's kind of the same thing as doing that. And then we also need a timestamp, just because I always like putting timestamps in there. So we'll say let timestamp equals new date. And then let's put the timestamp in there as well. Alright, so it just has a timestamp and a text. Alright. So now we're able to add items to the list, but in order to verify that that even works, and to really complete the app, we just need to synchronize this items array with the items from Firebase. So the way that we do that is we just listen to the authentication state, probably in the constructor. So I'm going to say this.afauth, because like we can't listen to their items unless they're logged in. So we got to listen to the auth state. Auth state.subscribe, and then this gives us a user object. So this is how we listen to whether or not the user is logged in. So this function is called whenever that changes. So at first it's going to be called with empty or undefined, and then after that it'll be called with the actual user object. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if the user exists, and if it does, then I'm going to like call a function called load up. We'll say listen to items. Alright, so if the user exists, then I'm going to say this.listen to items, and then inside of here I'm going to say listen to the database collection called, and then it's that same path as before right here. So we're just listening to that same collection. So listen to that and then call .snapshot changes, that's the one we want, and subscribe to that. Oops. Let's get this on a new line. Okay, and then this will give us some, I like calling it a collection snapshot. So this is the result from Firebase. And then what we got to do is we say this dot. Oh, hey man. We just got another comment from Kroniz, maybe? What am I doing? Just joined your live vid. Oh yeah, I should probably explain that. So, what we're doing right now is, so like for the live stream today, this is my 1,000 subscribers live stream, and we had a bunch of options here, but since like I only have 1,000 subs and a lot of them are from places all over the world, so not really everyone can join us live. I had a bunch of ideas, but since there aren't really enough people to like do an Ask Me Anything, which you can ask me anything, I'll still do that. All this other stuff, I'm just doing mostly build an app or website right here. And then we had some different options, and the one I went with was a grocery list app. Again, I'm just kind of deciding this stuff on my own because we don't really have a huge user base yet. And so the grocery list app this is the design for it. It's just supposed to look like this. Have a simple plus button. Can add on different items right here. And this is what it's looking like so far. We have everything except for the items, which we're actually almost done. Yeah, so let's continue on with that. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions and so forth. I'm happy to answer questions. We're almost done with this app anyways. So what I'm doing right now is I'm listening to the items from Firebase. So we have a collection called items under the user. And so when we're doing that, every time the snapshot changes, we need to reset the items to the empty array and then repopulate them all using a for loop. So call snap dot for each, and then we'll just call this doc snap because excuse me, a collection is a collection of documents, and so using the for each we get a document. We iterate over every document in the collection. They're all items. Can you create more videos pertaining with RxJS and Angular? I really enjoyed your Angular Fire vid. Hey, thanks, man. I mean, this is in Angular. I'm programming in Angular right now. So Ionic, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but Ionic, you can use Angular. And so as a web developer, you can create mobile apps as well, which is incredibly powerful. Like this looks like a website right here, but if I run one command, I can turn it into a mobile app. So pretty cool stuff. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm not really sure how the web people feel about making apps and so forth. Angular Fire. Although it sounds like you probably are from one of the... Is it... I mean, the Angular Fire can be used with Ionic and web apps, so I'm not sure which kind of videos you were watching of mine. But thanks for joining the live stream, man. Alright, let's get back to work here. So I'm going to say let item equals, and then grab the data from the docsnap. Docsnap.payload.doc.data. I know this looks kind of weird, but this is basically just grabbing the JSON object that we pushed right here. So it's simply a JSON object containing the text of the item and the timestamp. So this item now is that, and then I like to say this needs to be any type, because I'm going to say item.id equals docsnap.payload.doc.id. I've done this part a million times. This is just making an object with, again, those same fields right here. And then it also puts on an ID so that we know which ID it's referring to in Firebase. Hey Pablo, thanks for your Angular material videos. Helped me a lot. Hey, you're welcome, man. If you're new to the stream, I'm just building an app in Angular in Ionic, which uses Angular, so you can build web apps in Angular, or strike that, reverse it. You can build mobile apps in Angular, and you can also build web apps in Angular. But yeah, appreciate the kind words. Happy to help you guys out. Feel free to ask any questions as well in the chat. We're almost done with this app here, so it's not like it's super pressing. Let's see. So what are we doing? Going back to... Oh yeah, the listen to items. So once we've made this item, which has the data and the ID, then I'm going to say this.items.push. Then I'm going to push on the item. Alright, so this is basically just listening to the items exactly like it said. Simply listening to some items from Firebase. And I believe that should do it. Let's go and check. Probably have some errors. Yeah, there we go. Could not reach... Oh, I forgot to make the Firestore backend. So inside of Firebase, gonna go to databases. Gonna click on this button and start it in test mode. Yeah, I always forget to do that, as well as the create the authentication method. Simple as pressing a single button. Alright, let's try and reload that. Alright, gonna press the add button, make an item called apples. I really just want to go grocery shopping for apples. It worked. Alright, there's our items list. Our items list is working. We got apples in there. Let's add another one. Oh, we should order them by... Oh, shoot. It added an empty item. Okay, two things we gotta fix. When we are fetching the collection, we need to order it by timestamp. And that's how we do that. Right there. This little query function right here, order by timestamp. And it needs to be, let's see, is it ascending or descending? I think it's descending. Alright, let's see. So, oh, and we also need to make it so that when we add an item, it's not empty. So, here, when we get the text of the item from the alert, we need to check to see if, we need to make sure that text exists. So if not text, or not text dot trim, text is a string. Then we are going to simply return and do nothing. So that means you can't add empty items. Alright, let's make sure that worked. Alright, so I'll add a new item here, gonna have it be empty. Okay, nothing happened, that's good. Press cancel, nothing happened as well. Gonna put in a bunch of spaces, that's why I did trim. And nothing happened as well, great. But if I put in cherries, then it goes right there. Great. Alright, and really the only thing we have left to do here is we need to make it so that we can remove items from the list, and we just do that with a swipe left. So let's go and look at that in the documentation. And also feel free to ask any questions you guys have, anything. I'll even help with like specific problems you have, for a little bit at least. Yeah, because we're almost done with this app. Alright, so we're looking at the ion list. Alright, and I want to look at the sliding item. Okay, let's copy this one. Alright, let's go back over here and then put it right there. Replacing our own ion item. Oh wait, no, it's not right there. It's right in here. Okay, so we're just gonna move over some of this content. Don't need that, don't need that. That goes in here. Don't need that. Alright, so if we swipe to the end, then oh, this is an unread button. Well, let's make a delete button. Delete. And then delete. Delete the item. That should be good. Alright, and then the color of this is going to be, let's have a look at the variables, choose a color. Let's go with danger. So we'll put danger in here. Danger. And then hop over here and make that delete function. Delete. Alright, and then in here, this takes the item. And then when it calls delete, I'm going to say this.db db.document, and then grab that same path, except for at the end of it, I'm going to put the item.id. So that's why we set the ID right here so that we could delete it. Okay, just deleting items. Alright, so this calls delete, and then I think that's all we need. Is that all we need? Oh wait, no, I didn't call delete. Dot delete. Alright, let's try that out. Can we remove an item by filtering it from the list? Oh, hey John, what's up? Just for those of you new here, we're just building this app right here, grocery list app, and then I'm also happy to answer any questions. Alright, so let's see. Okay, delete, and this is all in Angular, by the way. We're writing code in Angular inside of something called Ionic, which I have quite a few videos on now, but in case you're from like watching my web videos, I learned that you can also write apps, like native applications in Ionic, which is super cool. Alright, so let's try deleting this. Actually, let's try deleting the blank one. Delete. Alright, it works. Okay, cool. Fastest app ever built. Not really, but it's pretty fast. Right, that's kind of like the power of building apps in web code, is like this stuff. Like we're all super good at writing web code, or at least many people are, and so having to just learn one tech stack and being able to build apps for any platform, that's incredible. Yeah, do you guys think it needs anything else? Wait, did I answer your question? Can we remove an item by filtering it from the list? I'm trying to think what you mean. Filtering it from the list. I mean, we could like make a filter function if that's what you're saying, but like this is what I want. Like I want you, when you delete an item, for it just to disappear. So it's working as intended right now. And they are in order of most recent, so I can add another item here. Bananas. I just really like shopping for fruits, as you can tell. So add another one over here. I can't think of any more fruit names. Mango. Mangoes. Yeah, so they're all in order right there. Yeah, so that is the app. I'm going to publish this on GitHub and then link it up after, so you guys can download the source code as well. And yeah, so it's been about an hour since the live stream started, so thank you all for joining. I will stick on here for a second and answer any more questions. So we already completed this right here, build a simple app or website. So that's all done. I forgot how to make the checkmark symbol on my keyboard. I think it's like using Alt V. Oh, is that what it is? Alt V. Alt V. There we go. And then yeah, that was this one right here. And then if you want, you guys can ask me any questions that you have. I can help you with any specific programming questions you do have as well. And then I'd also kind of like to know, like what kind of projects you guys are building. So I'll stick on here for a couple minutes. If you guys are wanting to talk at all, then we can do that. And if not, I'll just close up the live stream, and then I'll give you guys the source code to the app I just built. So this is how it looks on mobile as well. More fruit names, let's see. Bananas, cherries. I think avocados are fruits technically. Yeah, I just want to make sure that this scrolls properly. So I'm just going to add on a bunch of more things. A, B, alright, we're almost there. Okay, it scrolls, great. Alright, let's pull up the questions, see if you guys... Okay, so it did get one. Any ideas on what projects to build other than a to-do list? Oh, like for you personally? That's a good question. So, I mean, I've built like a bunch of apps. I've personally tried to make a lot of apps successful, and it's quite hard. But like depending on what your goals are, like, okay, so for one, as an app developer, you can get like freelancing jobs. So if your goal is to make money, then that's a great way, because like I charge $80 an hour doing that. It's really good money. And by the way, if you guys are interested in like learning this stuff more in depth, I'm building a course on Ionic 4 to just kind of like fully educate someone. Like I do tutorials here and there, but I'm building like a full course, so kind of just a little bit of foreshadowing there. In case any of you guys are wanting to achieve like the earn like $80 an hour sort of thing as a freelancer. It's pretty awesome. Can't really guarantee that you can do that, but I'm just going to teach you what I know. Anyways, so you can get freelancing jobs. That's one idea for getting projects. Or I guess you could be like wanting to build for fun. That could be another one of your goals. And then you could be wanting to like launch your own app and like have it be a huge success, like the next Twitter or something like that, right? And for that, I've tried to do quite a bit of that myself, and all I can say is that you want to build something that people actually want. So that'd be like my number one advice for that. Yeah, and then if you're just building it for fun, I mean, I can rattle off a bunch of ideas right now. I think a really fun one to build would be like a chat application where you're like chatting with random people online. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe some people in the chat have ideas as well. That's kind of one that I was wanting to build as well. I'm gonna add that to my course, building a full chat app in the course. Let's see. Pablo has a question or a comment. I built an app with Ionic 4 and Firebase. You also helped me a lot with that. I had problems with builds and Cordova. The experience was a little bit painful. Yeah. You're thinking about learning Flutter. Yeah. Okay, so my experience with Flutter, well, Flutter uses React, and it's kind of different from all the teaching that I do on this channel. Like I did a video on Angular versus React, and to summarize that video, like when you're programming in React, you're basically like you're building the solution to your problem as an object. Like you're designing an object that represents the solution to your problem, as opposed to like directly step by step solving it in like a linear logical fashion. You're building an object that represents the solution. So if that sounds fun to you, go for it. Personally, I don't really like that kind of stuff. Let's see. And yeah, like I have a whole video on building for Mac and Windows in Ionic. So you can search my channel for that, or maybe I'll add an annotation. I'm not sure if I can add annotations to live streams. I probably can after the fact, but not currently. But yeah, I have a full video on building for Mac or building for iOS and Android on Mac, and then building for Android on Windows. And so yeah, it's gonna be hard, but like programming is just hard, man. Pick your poison. That's what I like to say. All right. Abbas Sar, not sure if I'm saying that right. The question about date range at the beginning of the live. Yeah, so that was just right here. His question was how to make the start times and end times not overlap. This is literally the code that I would use for that right there. So if you want, just take a screenshot or something, or you can watch the live stream after. But he wanted to make sure that they don't overlap. And the way that you do that is using minimums and maximums. All right. Yep, so just screenshot that guy or watch the live stream after. All right, guys. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks for joining me. If there aren't any more questions, I'll probably just conclude the live stream here. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'll probably just stop it here. So thanks guys for joining me, and good luck to you on your projects. Be sure to leave any comments, any questions. Always happy to answer those. And I will see you guys in future videos.